Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're so glad to welcome you as part of our community tonight. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and distributed live stream by entering this virtual meeting room. You give your consent to be recorded and distributed by Vienna Live with Simeon Moore and other third parties. If you wish to not be recorded, please go to the LinkedIn live stream, the link to which I've just placed in the chat room. Tonight, our featured guest is acoustic guitarist Jack West, whose new albums, Guitars on Life and Essential Curvature, will be the subject of tonight's conversation. Welcome, Jack.
Thanks.
Jack, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, how your musical tastes were formed, and about the moment you decided to become a professional acoustic guitarist.
So I am from Savannah, Georgia, and I have a history. And when I was young, I started playing rock and roll music, but my uncle was a jazz piano player, and I was very close with him, and so he was really my original inspiration to get into music. But in my teens, I played in various rock bands and things like that, because that was what one does when you're 14 and you grab a guitar. uh, and then, but by the time I was in my early 20s, I had branched out a little bit more into some world music type of bands and things of that nature. And then I started really getting excited about an acoustic guitar when I started hearing people like Leo Kottke and Michael Hedges and some of the country blues artists that were really doing pretty elaborate types of fingerstyle guitar playing. And Michael Hedges in particular was a big inspiration, because he was the first guy to really start to use the acoustic guitar in a percussive manner as well. And so right around then, I kind of dropped the electric guitar. And I've been focused on acoustic guitar ever since then, and I'm very passionate about it. Yeah.
Okay, let's have a listen to our next track. This is Big Ideas. Jack, tell us the idea behind these two albums. You're releasing two albums at the same time, Essential Curvature and Guitars on Life. What's the story behind these two albums?
So Essential Curvature contains the two tracks we just listened to, and this is a compilation record that Otá Records is putting out or has just put out, which is a collection of the best of my band Curvature, which is music that I recorded in the sort of the late 90s and into the 2000s. And so that record is coming out in tandem with my brand new record, which we're going to hear some tracks from, of new music that I recorded with an acoustic guitarist. So it's an acoustic guitar duo record. And so Otá just, since this is my a new relationship that I have with Otá Records, they thought, it'd be kind of cool to do, a tandem release of this is sort of the this is what, the earlier work of yours sounded like, and this is the new stuff. So
And one, do they both focus on acoustic guitar, or is it in the percussive
yeah.
nature you were talking
Yeah,
about?
absolutely. Yeah, kind of the difference between the records. Essential Curvature is it's ensemble music, so it's actually a compilation from five different albums. So there's pretty much a different, you'll hear different ensembles. Like that last track that we just heard was myself with a cellist and drums. And other tunes have marimba, but it's all small ensembles. So it's typically not more than four musicians, anywhere from two to four musicians on most of the tracks that you'll hear on there. And that tune, by the way, that we just heard, "Big Ideas," is it kind of became the theme song of my life because I put it as my ringtone about about 20 years ago, and I'm also an inventor. I invent songs and I invent products, and that's something about that song. I called it "Big Ideas" because it just sounds like a big idea, and so it's yeah, like I say, it's kind of the theme song of my life.
Let's have a look actually, because we have the privilege of having a music video. This is from Guitars on Life. This is More Guitar. Wow, well, that is a lot of fun. And I can tell, I guess we hear often about the rhythm guitarist and the lead guitarist, and it's very clear you're the rhythm guitarist. in that video, in that role. Tell us about the musicians you chose for this album and what you look for in a musician. I take it you don't jam as well with just anybody as you do with the guitarists there on Guitars on Live.
Yeah, so I this album is actually a real exploration of my this style of playing that I've been inventing where I'm playing bass lines and chords and percussion at this all the same time. So I'm kind of like a one-man rhythm section. And I really wanted to find another guitar player that would slot into that, like you say, kind of in a more lead guitar role. And that I saw, went to the Freight and Salvage in Berkeley, here, not far from where I live in California, and I saw Walter Strauss, who's the gentleman you just saw on the video, and he has a very unusual style, as you just heard. He kind of has a style of where he mutes the strings and plays the guitar in a more percussive way. And so I really rhythm is a big part of my music, and it's in answer to your question more directly, I'm interested in playing with people that are into rhythm. And Walter is really into the rhythmic aspect of the lead guitar playing as well. And so it was just, yeah, when we started to play together. In fact, that was the first song that we actually worked on together. And I call it More Guitar because I really wanted just a little bit more guitar than I could do, even though I do a lot. And so Walter ended up being the perfect foil for that that more guitar position.
And you also had a cellist. You said it in the Essential Curvature album
Yeah, on the
video.
essential curvature stuff, that was on an earlier track. Yeah.
And
Hmm.
we don't
Yeah.
associate the cello normally with the rhythm as much as we do maybe the guitar. Tell us, is that the same? You heard a cellist and you said, "Wow, that's great rhythm."
Actually, it's true. That cellist that's on that record is a guy called Mark Summer, who played for many years in a band called the Turtle Island String Quartet that some of your listeners might have heard of. And he's a very rhythmic player. It's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's have a listen then to our. Actually, we've got another music video coming right up. This is Across the Bordeaux. And this brings us to the philosophical part of our conversation. According to the press release to Guitars on Life, quote, West hails from a long line of musicians in rural Alabama, including his grandfather's family band, which performed at funerals across the state. Mostly self-taught while growing up in Savannah, Georgia, West played primarily in rock and world music bands as a teen, but in 1993 he shifted course and decided to work exclusively in an acoustic vein inspired by various country blues players and fingerstyle innovators like Hedges and Leo Kottke. End quote. What lessons did your family teach you about music? What lessons did they teach you about life?
Well, the west side of my family line, so my dad's side of the family, they, were living in rural Alabama, and all of them were musicians. And as mentioned in the quote, they sang at funerals all over Alabama, and were deep into gospel music and stuff of that nature. But then my uncle, who grew up in that environment, was in a sense a little bit of a rebel because he became a jazz piano player, and sort of departed from the more religious gospel music tradition of his parents' generation. And so I think for me, growing up around my uncle mostly, of course, visiting my family in Alabama, but I was over in Savannah. And my uncle and I also just happened to be born on the same day, so we are very aligned in life. So seeing him performing as a jazz musician a lot and coming over to our house and performing all the time as a little kid, I think it just kind of opened my eyes up to not only jazz and some very interesting American music, but also just I think he also kind of inspired in me this idea of just pursuing music that you want to pursue, and I think it's like on the one hand I feel like my music. It is grounded in my roots in the sense like that last track. I play slide guitar on that, and slide guitar is something that you would associate with the Deep South and some of the music from that region. So there's aspects of my music, and the fact that I play acoustic guitar is also associated with the South. So there's aspects of my music that are rooted in my roots. But I'm also, very much a musician that is interested in pushing music forward and breaking boundaries and stuff like that, and always trying to find new ways of expressing myself on the instrument.
And about again the roots you said, and that you've got this all in the family. You and your you said your uncle who was a jazz pianist born on the same day. Tell us
Yeah.
about for young musicians who think that music is not something you can learn. It's something that's born. We're often told that rhythm is really one of those skills that you have to feel it. You can't really learn it. I remember from my early conservatory days, another jazz musician telling me, "Oh, if I could just swing like that guy." Is that something you can learn, or how do you advise people? How do you explain it to them? Do you just say, you've got it or you don't?
No, I think the way I think about music is I feel like it's all learnable and to whatever level you can learn it to. And that is the right level. Like, in other words, pursue it, and it doesn't matter. Like, there's not a scale. There's no big judge out there that's going to give you a score. At the end of the day, music is about love and sharing and connecting humans together. What I love about music, and one thing that folks that know me well know, that I don't have like a thing where I don't play with musicians because they're not a certain like. I love just as much going to a party with my friends that can barely play and playing all night. I'll play all night with them. I love that just as much as I love playing with Walter Strauss and other people that I play with. To me, it's all music and it's all beautiful. And I really encourage people to, if you're trying to learn music or you want to learn music, start learning it. There's tons of online lessons now that are amazing. And it's just what music does in our world, I believe, is it's an incredible force to connect people together. It's this amazing thing where it's not a whole lot else like it. It's even in the arts, if you look at visual arts and other types of art. music is kind of special. Like it really does bind people together in an amazing way. And so, yeah.
What do you tell the other musician colleagues of yours who couldn't stand the idea of that performing with amateurs that they want to play in Carnegie Hall with Carnegie Hall trained people or something?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think musicians come in different flavors, you know. I think some people have maybe more career ambition or something, and they don't want to be seen playing with lesser mortals or something like that. But you know, I think as musicians get further in their career, they become less that way. I think younger musicians, if they're in their 20s and they're really ambitious and stuff like that, they might worry about stuff like that. But I found that I tend to gravitate probably to musicians that have more my perspective. So most of the folks that I'm playing with now, I would say, are in a pretty similar camp. Yeah.
Let's have a look at our last music video. Again, thank you for these wonderful music videos. This is Double Bounce from Guitars on Life. Wow, and there we see music exactly as your vision of it, bringing people together. It's when the party begins and where words leave off and the dance begins. Tell us, if there actually are there any questions? Would anyone like to jump in? Anyone like to say anything? Hi,
I'm
Fred.
going to apologize because this may really be out there, but you said you're an inventor, and I wonder if you know the Ovation guitar.
Of course,
It's a
yeah. Yeah.
modern. So I don't know much about guitars, but I know the person who invented it. He's
Okay.
a really fascinating person. I'm sure he's gone now. His name is Charlie Kaman, Kaman. He was a defense contractor. He invented a greaseless wheel bearing for military aircraft. He invented a helicopter that doesn't need a tail rotor that is phenomenally maneuverable. And then he invented the Ovation guitar. Just like these things popping out of his head. And then the other thing is quite interesting about him. I was in the construction business. We built a lot of the stuff he had. He always came to meetings with a couple of big German shepherds, and it turns out he and his wife were raising guide dogs, and they were the breed stock. So he then started what's called the Fidelco Foundation, and we built a big kennel for him. He had probably 100 breed dogs. I think the Fidelco Foundation is still going, raising guide dogs, but just a polymath, someone who it seemed like he could do anything. And anyway, that was my exposure to the Ovation guitar.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, it's interesting. I'm an inventor of products, and in some of them are musical and some of my inventions have been in the solar industry actually. And so maybe I'm similar to Mr. Common, you said his last name was.
Yeah, KAM.
Songs or products and all that is the same basic process. It's a creative process, and I really enjoy the process of inventing all kinds of things. And one of the things that I've invented that I'm playing with in all of these music videos you've been watching is I invented a new type of thumb pick that I use. It's a little hard to see in the videos. But on my thumb is a new type of thumb pick, and I'm actually wearing finger picks that I invented as well.
Yeah,
So
it's a mindset, I think, of
yeah,
you know,
yeah, for sure.
just use your imagination and ask, is this the way it has to be, or is
Yeah,
there
yeah.
another way to do that? He was just a phenomenally fascinating. He was 7 feet tall, a great
Oh
big
wow.
guy, and really, really nice person, and as very successful as a business person, but also a great inventor. Yeah,
Well,
we love your playing. That was great.
yeah. Oh, thank you so much. I
Thanks,
appreciate it.
Fred. And so, Jack, to be an inventor, or is there any kind of profile, or is it? I mean, what inventors, they're looking for new solutions. How do you hope all of your inventions, these new finger picks, you just want them to be used, or how do you see that?
Yeah, I'm a problem solver at heart, and writing songs to me is a problem solving process because I hear an idea and then I have to solve this problem of, okay, so I have this one idea. Now, how do I turn this into a whole song? And to me, that's the same thing as inventing products. So I get ideas and I pursue them mostly out of passion for trying to solve the problem. And I've been fortunate enough to have some business people take interest in some of my ideas over the years, and so there are a number of my products that are actually out there being sold by companies. So at this point, I'm in my life, I have spent some time in startups, actually selling some of the products I invented, but that was in my past. And at this stage of my career, I'm focused on music, and the inventions that I'm working on now they're being sold by other companies. So I'm just the inventor guy, and I file the patent, and then they can take it from there.
And
Yeah.
last question, what do you wish all of us who listen to this music from Essential Curvature and from Guitars on Life, what would you like us to take away?
Well, I hope that the music speaks to you in some way, and maybe you can feel something from the music. To me, music is an amazing language that expresses human emotion in a way that's pretty unique. And I hope that the music fundamentally it moves you or in some way, and I hope you like guitar because there's a lot of guitar.
Let's see how we can get the album. It's at jackwestguitar.com. and you can purchase the album here. You can watch the videos, those awesome videos we just saw, buy the vinyl LP, the art, all of the stuff. And if people would like to reach out to you or attend any of your upcoming concerts, they can just reach out to you under contact. Is that right, Jack?
Yeah, yeah. That's you can get my management and stuff there, and on the homepage, there's a place where you can sign up for the mailing list if you want to find out when I'm going to be in your area for concerts and stuff like that. I'm actively just starting to really ramp up a touring schedule now. So I've got a big concert tomorrow night at the Freight and Salvage in Berkeley, California. So we've been doing a West Coast tour now, and we'll be continuing to tour around later in the year as well.
So please do reach out to Jack at jackwestguitar.com. Thank you so very much to Jack West.
Thank you. It's been a blast.
And before we go, I'd like to bring us to simeonmorrow.com, where you can find all information about upcoming shows. And while you're at it, I'd like to bring your attention to the Become a Sponsor page, where for $5 a month, if a sponsorship of $5 a month, you will receive one Vienna Live Celebrates 5 Years mug. For $10 a month, you will receive one Vienna Live Celebrates 5 Years mug and one Vienna Live City tote bag. There's also the option of a custom sponsorship. There is no minimum, and you just go to one-time payment custom. All sponsorships are essential to keep Vienna Live running as a free public music service. And coming up next week, we have Duo Fay, Dissidents of the Gilded Age. Dissidents of the Gilded Age is Duo Fay's tribute to three pioneering women composers whose work and lives defied the social confines of their time, featuring Trois Morceaux, Opus 31 by Cécile Chominade, Violin Sonata in A minor, Opus 7 from suffragette Dame Ethel Smith, and Amy Beach's Sweeping Violin Sonata in A minor, Opus 34. These chamber works for violin and piano stand as acts of bold artistic and political expression anchored in the women's suffrage movement of the 19th and early 20th century. This collection connects historical and musical dissidents with the present and enduring fight for women's rights. That is again next Wednesday, Duo Fay, Dissidents of the Gilded Age. All information about upcoming shows is available at www.simeonmorrow.com. Once again, thank you so very much to Jack West. Thank you to Vienna Live's corporate and individual sponsors. Your ongoing support allows Vienna Live to operate as a free public music service. Thanks very much to my cousin Mike, a marketer from Layer App. If you're an architect or an engineer, they have a really cool tool you should check out. And of course, most of all, thanks to you, our participants who make it all worthwhile from Washington, D.C. and San Francisco, California. Goodbye and see you next Wednesday.
I know.